Hey guys, I am Nishan and welcome to Cybernetico. So, welcome to my new series, and in this series, I will be making a LinkedIn clone using React and Firebase. So, basically, React will be on the front end and Firebase for the back end. So, the first step to do that is to create a React app, and we will use Vite, this Vite build tool. So, we can copy the command to create a React app, and then we can have LinkedIn clone, enter, choose React, JavaScript, and it's created. Now we have to go to file and open folder and go to that folder which is LinkedIn clone. Yes, fine. So we have the packages here inside packages, as you see. Let me just make it smaller. Yes. Now let's install Firebase into our React app. So we can simply where it is view, not view, terminal, new terminal, and let's first initialize Firebase. So we will create everything, I mean not everything, most of the things in LinkedIn that is feasible for us. So we will create the top bar, we will create the cards and all of these items. Fine. As you see on the screen, we'll also have options to create, I mean to get jobs and navigate jobs, and in that jobs we will use the GitHub Jobs API, but that will come later. Let's first set up the project in this video, and we will have the series of videos in the later parts. Okay, you have 3 projects away from project limit. Okay, let's add LinkedIn clone and continue. Then create a project. Let's wait for it to finish. Now the project is ready. In Firebase, we can just go to continue or click continue. So now what we have to do is we have to create a web application. So click this, click the icon here, web, and we can get started. So let's make this as a app name. So simple, LinkedIn clone and a registered app. Click it here, and then we have to create a file in our project. But first, let's install Firebase using this command. So do this, then copy the entire thing from this configuration and create a file in source folder, which will be called as Firebase config.js, and simply paste it like this. We need this app variable that has been initialized from all this data. I mean, we have the initialized app getting imported from Firebase, and in this initialized app, we are passing the configuration data, all the API key, auth domain, storage bucket ID, app ID, and all. So we have to export it so that we can use it into our project. So it's getting installed, I mean Firebase, and it has done installing. Now let's start the app using npm run dev, enter. So on this link, it has been hosted in local, so click it and it will open up here. Now let's move to app.jsx and clean a few things here, I mean the code. Remove the state for now and the logo, and use state as well for now. Only then we will have a blank canvas for our project to be created. Let's change the color to this LinkedIn color, and this color is, let me check the color here. So I have one extension called Wart font, and if you click that, it will show you the color of the background. So it's RGBA 000 and 0.9 as opacity. So where is the black color? In index.jsx. So replace the background color with this color. And if you check and refresh the page, it's not changing. Okay, let's have it as light. Then let me remove all the, okay, we have changed the color, not the background color, sorry. So revert it back and add wet. Okay, it's white. Yes, now see, it's working. We can close the console for now, and then we can change the color to black, or say, let me remove the color from here. Say we can, we can say 212121 black. Fine. We can also remove this a tags here and the a hover, and let's see what else we have in there. So we can also remove the buttons and meta queries and the h1 styling. Okay, fine. Now save this, and we have the color of LinkedIn. The background color here. Fine. The next step to do, or what to do next is, let me think. Let me close the wheat. Okay. So we have imported all the data from Firebase to our app. So let's click continue to console. Okay. Now, first of all, let's set up the project. Yes, that was the plan. So what we have to do is, okay, I am also getting confused. Okay, let me close LinkedIn for now. So in the Firebase, we have this app. So let's create endpoints in our app that can help us log in and register first. So we will cover them first. So in the SRC, create a folder called API, and in this, let's say auth API .jsx. Let me create a function here. So say export const, or like not auth API, say login API, which will be an arrow function like this. Now we have to call this login API into our, let's say, a page called login. So we have to create that as well. Create a folder called pages, and in the pages folder, let's create a file called login.jsx. Make it a functional component. Now we have this page called login, but let's also create a component here for login. So create a folder called components. In the folder, create a file called login.jsx, or say not login, say login component.jsx, like this. We have this. Let me expand it a little bit. Let me make it a functional component and add one h1 here, login component. Now we have to import the login component to the login page. So say import login component from components login, and then simply return it here like this. Now we have to create routes. Yes, that's also we need to do. So go to this website called React Router. Search it on the Google. Then we will have this version 6.4 as the latest version. So click tutorial here. Then we have to install it using this command. So again, open the terminal, new terminal, and simply throw it here and enter. Then it will be installed here. Okay. We can eliminate our app.jsx. We can make the main file as main.jsx, because every logic for routing should be written here. So let's do that. Let me import these two things here. Create browser router and router provider. So let me do it here. But this array we have called router, we can make it in a different folder. So let me create a folder called routes, and in this folder we will have, let's say, make it index.jsx, because this is the only file we need here. Okay, now we can remove this and copy the link, copy this array and paste it here, and export the const router. Okay, sorry, export. Yes. So we have it here. So to use this create browser router, we have to import it from React router DOM. So let's import it and remove the other thing, router provider. So okay, here we have this route for the slash page, I mean slash route, the path, and the div is hello world, I mean the output. So let me import the login page here. So say import login from pages login and replace this hello world with this page and make the route as login. Fine. Now we have to import this router to main.jsx. So let me import router. Okay, wait a second. We have to do it like this. Import router from routes, yes, and then we have to feed this router to this router provider. So replace app because we don't need app. We can bypass the need for this app.jsx file. So we are done here. We don't need this create router. So remove it and remove app as well. Now save this file and see what happens. So what is the problem here? The problem is no problem. We are on this slash route, which means no route. So if we go to login page, we should see the login component here, as you see also. So this is done. Now we have a login page. Fine. Now what we need to do is close the main.jsx. We don't need this, and delete the app.jsx as well, and the css file as well. Okay, let's delete it. Fine. I mean fine. So also close the index.jsx for now in routes. Remove login page and let's see what can we do next. Yes. So in the login API we have, let me import this login API to this page. But wait a second. We can do it like this as well. Okay, let me import the login API in the components login component.jsx, or we can import it in the pages folder as well here. So we can say import login API. What is the name of it? Login API from API/auth. I mean API/auth API. So basically it is a function. So we can call it. So for example, let's say we have a button here into this login API. So first of all, okay, let me import this into our components page here. Fine. Now suppose that we have a button here that says log in to LinkedIn. Save. We have a button here. So let's say, I mean, let me check the button. It's this. Okay. Fine. Okay. So let me give some styling to the button, some basic styling. The class name, login button, and we can create a file for the styling as well. So let me create, or let me solve one more library called SAS. So we can say npm I SASS. This will allow us to use SASS, not just CSS. Then we can create a file called login, or let me create a file in one more folder called, let's say SASS, and here the file will be called as login page or component dot .jsx. Sorry, not JSX, SCSS. Sorry. Now we have to import the file login component dot .scss from this component. I mean from this folder called SAS. So say import. So SAS slash login component dot .scss. Now the styles we will write in this component will be reflected here in the UI. So say login button Let's add it here and say something like width 500 pixels. Okay, it's too much. Let's try 300 or 200 or say 100 or 150. Fine. Now let's add the height here as 30 pixels. We have the button. Okay, in this, let's add log in to LinkedIn in small case. Okay, just this is just a button, a simple button. Now we have to make the login API call on a function. So say const, let's say log in equal to another function, and then we have to call this login API simple as that. Now on this button, let's have an on click event. On click equals to this login. Now when we click the button, also let me add one more thing here called cursor pointer background color as blue, or what is the color for LinkedIn? Just add cyan. Okay, it's too bright. So let's add 212121 as black for now. Fine. Now it works. Now what will happen when we click the button here? They should run this function called login, and then it should call this login API from this auth API. So let's just do something like console.log hello from login API and save this. Now open the console, make it at bottom and click the button here. Okay, we are not saying anything. So it is calling this function login API and it's not getting consoled. Okay, is the app running? So let me check. Yes, it's running. What is the problem? Could not establish connection. Okay, let me refresh the page and click login. Yes, now we are getting it. Fine. Hello from login API. So this is not going to work for us because we have to change it. So let's return something. So let's return, let's say hello from login API. Now we have to record the return from here into our login component.jsx inside login function. So say let res equal to this. Then we can simply console.log res. Now click the button called login to LinkedIn and we will get the same thing here. Hello from login API. Let's change it to login APIs just for distinction. And okay, let me refresh the page and click it and we will get it here like this. So this is how it works. In the auth API and in the auth API we have login API. Let me write the API or the function to log in. So go to the settings page. Okay, sorry, not settings. Click all products here. Click authentication. Now in the authentications we have this. Where 1 second. Okay, we can resize it more. Fine. I think it's looking fine. Click get started here. Okay. Let it load for now. Then we need the email and password login for now, just to show you how it works, the Firebase login. So enable this, click save, and it's enabled. Now, if you see in the users, it's empty. So let me import a few things from here. Here. So we can import, what is the function name? Let me add the Firebase first. So from Firebase, Firebase /auth. And here let's import sign in with email and password and get auth. I think that's the things we need. So say let auth and say get auth. So this auth will contain all your data in the project for authentication coming from the config file. But we have to import this app into our main file as well. So we can say import app, this constant app from Firebase config and save. Just need to import this, don't need to use it. And that's all. Now this auth will contain all your data. And now we have to use this function, sign in with email and password. So we can remove this and add it here. In this we have to pass our login data, like the username or email and password. So say it takes two params, this function called email comma password, and we have to pass it here with the auth. So auth comma email comma password. So three things it will take. So save it for now. Now let's come to this page and create two input fields. So say input, here it will be class name, say let's say common input, and add a placeholder holder equals to, which will be enter your email. Save, and we should get it here. Okay, but something is wrong here. Need to provide options when not being deployed to hosting source in initialize app. What is this? I am getting this just now. Okay, let me get back after finding the problem what we have here. So in this file, we have to import the auth from our Firebase config file, which is this, and export it. So we are importing auth from Firebase config, then feeding the data to this function called sign in with email and password from Firebase auth. So it's done here. Now we have to wrap this in try catch block. So say try, and this will go inside the try. But if you save the file, we will have an error which will ask us to add a catch block, and say error, then return error. So we don't need a dot here. Fine. Say save it, and we have the login API. So I have also fixed the login components, and the credentials are getting set here using onChange event. So this is a pretty basic stuff. Now this button is linked to this function. So now we can import, we have imported the login API from here, from API/auth API. Then we can call it, okay, this login API like this. But we have to feed the credentials to this login API. So we can say credentials.email comma credentials.password. So it takes two things as params, which is email and password, and the function takes the two, but the sign in with email and password takes three: auth from config file and email and password from the function params. So save this. Let me record the response in one variable, but first we have to return it from here. So let's say ret response equals to this, and have a console.log here, which is sorry, not console log, return response, so that it comes here from the function. So let's get it here. Let's say let res from here, and console.log res. Now open the console and enter your email account, which is this @gmail.com. So I have not signed up or added my account in Firebase. And if you see, this users tab is empty, but we are still trying to logging in. I mean, we are trying to log in. Let me add some password and click login to LinkedIn. And you will see this error that says Firebase error auth slash user not found, because this user it's not present inside the Firebase authentication users tab. If you open the networks tab, we will see this block. We have error, then inside the error we have errors and the message. So we can filter it out or just do this here. So alert, I mean ARR error dot errors dot message. Now save this and click the button again, and you will still get the same thing. Okay, email not found. So let me refresh and try again. And my email com 1234567. Okay, we're not getting it here. So I guess we have to add the try catch block here as well. So try, let me copy and I mean cut it, paste it here. Then we need a catch block to catch the errors. So if we have an error, we will simply console.log this thing, basically this. So let me revert it back to error, I mean return error, and paste it here. Save both files, and now let's try. So open the console, click the button, and still we are not getting it properly. What's the problem? Refresh it once. I think we have a refresh issue in my PC. Nishant s440@gmail.com 1234567. Log into LinkedIn. Still nothing we are getting. Okay, so we have error, we have errors, and we have message, and we have code. So let's try the code here. Or what if we add it here? What happens? Let's try in both cases. Maybe the error will be here in the try block. Okay, it's undefined. Okay, fine. So, okay, let's leave it for now. We will try to handle it later, because this is just a code setup. So, the basic example I gave you was this. You can remove it from here and from here. So we have a login page and one login API that's calling this method called sign in with email and password, but we have no users. That is why it's throwing this error that user not found. So that was the setup. If we want one more API for register, so we can say export const register API. Okay, let me just copy this and add it here and change the name to register API here. So this will take email and password the same way it took here, but the function name will be different here. So we can say create user with email and password. So this will create the user. I can show you how it works. So just let me call this function called registered API and pass the email and password. So let me clear all these things and let me log in. I mean, click the button. So if you open the networks tab, we will see these two messages. I mean, what is it? This is the network request to sign up. So we have email here and all the things that they symbol tokens. So it expires in 3600 milliseconds. So maybe it means, or it's seconds. I don't know what is this. Maybe it's 36 hours. Fine. So If we refresh the Firebase console, we will see the user here, and the provider will be this email. I mean email and password. So we have alert here. Okay, we don't need this for now. So that is how the register function works. Let me revert this back to login API. Now, if you try to log in with the same account or the email and password, we will be logged in. I mean, we will not get an error. So let me bring back the console logs and log in with LinkedIn. So we will see that we're not saying anything. I guess we have to make the function synchronous. I mean asynchronous. So where it is async, and let's await this. Now try again. Now we are getting it. So the provider is called, I mean operation type is called sign in. We have the user, so basically we can utilize this user to have the username and all. So we have the email, we have the verified false and all the data. Fine. We have the provider ID as Firebase, all these things. But we don't have display name. So to get the display name, we have to use the Google authentication from Firebase. So let me show you this. Add new provider. We have Google. So that's how we can use the Google to have the display name as well, which will have the name of your Gmail account. So that's much the basic setup, pretty much the basic setup of the Firebase APIs and the components and the pages, routes and all. In the next video, we will finish the login page and the registered page UI with the complete flow of the logging in and registering users on your LinkedIn clone app. So thank you so much for watching, and like the video and stay tuned for the next video.